All right, we are live. Welcome to America, guys. Good morning. It's 10 a.m. here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Good morning to you guys all over the United States as well as Nigeria and wherever it is that you're watching from all over the world. So today we are going to have a heart-to-heart conversation about the Wole Soyinka matter. Um, so a couple of weeks ago, the Nigerian Nobel laureate, Mr. Wole Soyinka, went on the record and said that the United States has revoked his US visa. For those of you who went to primary school in Nigeria in the 80s, talking about early to mid 80s, Wole Soyinka was a mainstay for as long as I can remember. He was back then a national hero. And today, he is also considered one of the living national heroes of Nigeria. He was the first he is the first Black African to win the Nobel Prize. And he won it in literature in 86. I was born in 78, so I was 8 years old. Maybe in primary 2 or primary 3 at that time in Lagos, Nigeria, Elizabeth Fowler Memorial Primary School. So Wole Soyinka was a big deal for us back in the day. So I want to give you guys a bit of background on Mr. Soyinka. Highly respected, highly educated figure in the Nigerian scene. He's a living legend in this day and age where we don't really have any more national heroes to look up to. Wole Soyinka is considered, in my opinion, a living legend, but that doesn't make him right. And I'm going to get to that. So my grandfather fought in the Nigerian Civil War, the Nigerian Biafran Civil War. He fought for the Union. He fought for Nigeria against the Biafran faction or Biafran rebels, whatever you want to call them. So my grandfather fought in that war. So dating back to the early years of Nigeria, Wole Soyinka was active. I believe he was born in the 40s, but he was active during that time. So he was accused by the military regime of Gowon, Yakubu Gowon, back then, of negotiating on behalf of the Nigerian government with the rebels. And he was imprisoned for 22 months. He was thrown in jail, in prison for 22 months. And then he was let go. He voiced his opinion on the Civil War. Some said he was attempting to negotiate peace. Others said that he committed a treasonous act. But anyway, he was imprisoned and locked up. So then he proceeds, highly educated guy, came to the United States, lived in the US. He was in exile. For those who know the Abacha regime in the mid-90s, so Wole Soyinka was in exile then. He was forced into exile during that time, during that Abacha era. And prior to that, he had lived in exile multiple times, just due to his outspoken criticism of military rule, which we can all agree with. If you are in a democracy, you expect your leaders to be elected. But when people take over the government, as a result of, when they capture the government seat by the gun, they call it by the gun, that is an illegitimate government. So Wole Soyinka was very outspoken about that. So he's a political activist, playwright, writer, has been very vocal in the Nigerian political scene for decades. And he continues to be till today. I'm recording this November 5, 2025. So the man is 91 years old. He's an elder statesman. He's been around for a while. He's seen regimes come and go. He has seen governments come and go. He's a learned guy, highly, highly educated. It's not easy to win a Nobel Prize. He won it in literature. He made us proud. Growing up in Nigeria, the new generation, the millennials may not know who Wole Soyinka is, but I'm 47 years old going on 48. If you're my age or you're in my age range, we all know who Wole Soyinka is. Most of us consider him a hero, a national hero. So let's fast forward. That's just a bit of background on 91-year-old Wole Soyinka. If you want to learn more about him, you could do a Google search or ChatGPT search to learn more about him. But he's in the news lately on this US visa matter, and I have a strong opinion on it. This is just my own opinion. But let me tell you guys what happened and what he did and how he ended up with his visa being revoked. So back in 2016, when the now current president, US President Donald Trump, contested for the US presidency and won, Wole Soyinka at that time compared Donald Trump and his policies and his stance and he called him a white version of Idi Amin. If you guys know who Idi Amin is, for those who don't know, maybe the younger generation may not know who Idi Amin is. But growing up in Nigeria, we heard about Idi Amin he was the military dictator of Uganda in the 80s. He was also forced into exile, and he died in exile. So he compared Donald Trump in 2016 to the white version of Idi Amin. Idi Amin is a murderous dictator. He killed a lot of Ugandans. He massacred a lot of people, bordering genocide. Idi Amin was a killer. So he referenced Donald Trump and called, I don't know why. Donald Trump hasn't killed anybody. He's not a murderous killer like it. I mean, so for you to compare, yes, I can understand you may not like his policies and you may not like his politics. But going as far as to compare the man to a murderer was a bit much. So this was in 2016. On an election that many can argue that Donald Trump won fair and square. I am not cheerleading for the current president of the United States. In 2016, I voted for Hillary Clinton, not because I liked Hillary Clinton or not because I thought Hillary Clinton was the better candidate. I voted for Hillary Clinton simply because I like Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is a president's president. He left the United States economy with a surplus, something that's very, very hard to do. So that's the main reason why I voted for Hillary Clinton. I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just, sometimes I have to just be honest. Not saying she was a bad candidate. Sometimes environment and proximity can shape your decision. You may not necessarily like somebody, but you may like the person that they're with. So in my mind at the time in 2016, I figured, you know what? It would be nice to have Bill Clinton back on the scene. That's who I really wanted to see. That was the reason why I voted for, because I figured, you know what? Yes, if she won the presidency, although she's the president, but Bill Clinton is right there, could be advising her on the side, in the background. That was who I voted. And I think that was what a lot of Americans who voted for Hillary Clinton voted for her, because they just like Bill Clinton and they wanted to see Bill Clinton back on the global stage. But you don't always get your way. I remember waking up the next day after the election. I used to have a men's shop at that time. I had my own boutique. It's like I went home that evening to watch the election on the news, and I came back to work to my shop the next day, completely different man. The entire mode changed. You can kind of see people that were bubbly. Everybody was, because at that time, everybody thought that this was going to be a sweep. They thought it was going to be a landslide in favor of Hillary. And then we all woke up the next day with a rude awakening. The world wasn't happy. At least the people who supported Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, the Democrats, nobody was happy. It hurt me, and I'm a thick-skinned person. It's not because I didn't like Donald Trump. It's just because I just wanted my person to win. That's it. I just wanted my person to win. You can't say that either of them are qualified or not. You can't say Donald Trump, unqualified. You can't say Donald Trump is because no one has, both of them, they have never ever been the president of the United States. So you can't say one way that Donald Trump is not president, he's unqualified, or Hillary Clinton is president and she's unqualified. Neither had presidential experience, US presidential experience. None of them had that. So Donald Trump, at the end of the day, won fair and square. It's what? We're in 2025. It's been 9 years. We can all now comfortably, at least me, we can talk about it. But back then, people were angry. A lot of people took to the streets, protesters. There were even some that were protesting that Donald Trump is not my president. That is whatever. You can protest whatever you want, but he was eventually ratified as the president of the United States after beating Hillary Clinton, in my opinion, fair and square. He won. And then for Soyinka to now call him then a version of Idi Amin because he won the election fair and square he was stretching. And all of this information wasn't even really, I wasn't aware of it. Because at that time in 2026, in 2016, I wasn't really paying attention to Nigeria like that. I didn't start reintegrating myself into Nigeria until 2020. So I was unaware of what he had said. All of this is just now coming out as a result of this visa ban. And then Soyinka took it a step further. He took his US green card after Trump won and he tore it, saying he wouldn't live in a country governed by such politics. What are you talking about? With all due respect for Mr. Soyinka, you were wrong for doing that. It's one thing if you called somebody names, someone that you don't know, because you don't agree with them. It's one thing if you call somebody names. It's another thing to then go and rip your US green card that you legally earned, a document that allows you to live in the United States as a legal resident. You took it and you ripped it. With all due respect, you were wrong. Did you throw away your Nobel Prize? You didn't. Ripping your US green card is an equivalent, honestly, of, let's say, burning the US flag. It's disrespectful and distasteful. Then you were 81 years old. You did this in 2016. Today you are 91. Okay, maybe you were 82 then in 2016. You are an elder statesman, Mr. Soyinka. All this information I wasn't even aware of until recently when I started digging into it. Okay, I got to talk about this. Because right now he's platforming, he's going to all over the place, any media outlet that will have him. And he's saying that Donald Trump banned him, the United States banned him. But is he going in and telling people what he did? This needs to be known. I'm not trying to make him look like a bad person. I'm just sharing the truth. Because we live in a time and age where people's attention span is like 4 seconds. 4 seconds. Most people have the attention span of a fish. They just see something, they'll see a news flash or a headline, and they'll just make their decision based on that headline. This really, it wasn't so much of the banning that makes me, or that's not the reason why I'm talking about this. It's when I did more research, it's the fact that he tore his US green card. I can speak on that because I served in the US military. And I know the sacrifices that soldiers make to ensure that people like me and other diasporans, whether they're Nigerian diasporans or whether they're immigrants, are able to come to the United States so long as they obey the law of the land, they work hard, they contribute to society, they're able to take care of their family, and then they're also able to send remittances back home. The $20 billion a year that Nigeria sends back home in remittances, the diasporans, where do you think most of that is coming from? Majority of that is coming from the United States. Did it occur to him? People sacrificed. People died. I lost friends in the military. A lot of people have died in the past to allow me to be able to speak into the wire, to speak into this microphone. When you were in exile, did you not live in America? When you were exiled for treason, where did you live? You lived in the US. The same country that protected you, took you in, gave you residency, gave you that green card, and you rip it. You might as well have burned the flag, the US flag. You may as well have thrown the US flag on the ground and trampled on it. That is the most disrespectful thing you can do to a nation, is to rip their green card, rip their passports, which is an equivalent of what you did. This was in 2016. And even after that, after Trump won, talking about you wouldn't live in the US. And then later on, they kind of gave you a slap on the wrist. Then they brought you in to re-interview 2025. This was after Trump has won. 2025, they brought you in to re-interview and you refused. Sorry, this year, yes. After Trump has won, they brought you in, they tried to get you in to interview for to get a green card or to get you access to the US. You refused. And then the United States said, you know what? Whatever. If Trump was against you, why would they invite you to re-interview and issue you another visa? It was after all of these shenanigans that the US finally said, you know what? We are done. And that is how your visa got revoked. And the reason that they cited was procedural reason. Probably did some background check on you. They saw that you were problematic back in the in the early stages of Nigeria. You were in exile. You were in prison. They kind of look at all these things. Even after all of that, they still gave you residency and gave you, and then you ripped the green card. And now you are saying that it's politically motivated. How is it politically motivated? Are you telling the world about your actions? I'm not. I have all due respect for Wole Soyinka. But it just seems like lately, he's in the news for the wrong reasons. What has it done for, okay. Mr. Soyinka, you know so much. What have you done for Nigeria lately? I don't know of any programs. You won the Nobel Prize for Literature. What have you done for Nigeria since? You can't disrespect. Yes, lately he's been kind of quiet lately because his boy is in office. President Tinubu is in office. They're friends. So he's been quiet lately. And I have nothing against the president of Nigeria. He makes me rich. Let's be honest. President Tinubu is making me rich. His reforms. President Tinubu's reforms are pro-diaspora. What I'm able to do now and what most diasporans are able to do today, they could not have done during the Buhari era. When the exchange rate was what? $1 to 300 naira. They couldn't do it. So as a result of President Tinubu's reforms, a lot of Nigerians, those who are brave, who are not afraid to go home because they are afraid of this or afraid of that, they are making it in Nigeria. And I'm one of those. as a result of President Tinubu's reforms. So I'm a beneficiary of his reforms. And yes, they are friends. But Soyinka has been quiet a lot lately. Now I'm talking about in terms of talking about, is Tinubu perfect? You see, it's okay for you to be quiet when your friends are in office. Shouldn't Donald Trump get that same benefit? Who won the election fair and square? Why does everything have to be motivationally, politically motivated? So you can say that. Let's not kid ourselves here. We know that Donald Trump is behind the revocation. If you were in his shoes, wouldn't you be? So if it's not a big deal, you already said that you don't want to live in a country that's governed by such politics. Is it not the same country that invited you to come to the US? Were you not going to get paid for that invitation? This is the same country that said you are not going to. So you're not going to live in the US, but you can come into the US and make money. So they are looking at it from this standpoint. Like, look at this guy. He's ripping he's ripping our green card. He's calling the former president of President Trump, Idi Amin. He's talking about he's not going to live in the US because of because of Trump's politics. But you also want to come to the United States when the same guy that you called Idi Amin is the president, and you think that they are going to let you in. And now you're platforming. Sometimes, guys, we just got to call out our elders sometimes. Out of respect, obviously. We got to call them out. Every time I turn on television, he's platforming. Every time I'm on YouTube doing research, I see him everywhere talking about my visa got revoked. Listen, the United States doesn't need Wole Soyinka's opinion. Nigeria has enough problem of its own, of our own. Focus on Nigeria, Mr. Soyinka. Who else is inviting you to come and is our other states is? People always there's cause and effect. I'm watching my playback on TV. Test. So cause and effect. We always tend to look at the effect. We don't necessarily tend to look at the cause. Diasporans, Nigerians, fortunate enough to be a US resident, own your green card, you abide by the law, you're able to get you have to respect the sovereign nation. Donald Trump is not is a dictator. He's an elected president of the United States today, and he was an elected president of the United States in 2016. This is what we should be teaching our youths, to respect the process. Sometimes your candidate is going to win, sometimes your candidate is going to lose. That is the way it works. On that political ballot, there are only two names. There are only two people, maybe three people vying for the presidency. And you cannot choose them all. You can only choose one. And there are only two outcomes. You win or you lose. I can understand if this was a coup d'etat or a military takeover. The 2016 US presidential election was neither of that. It was a democratically contested election where eligible American citizens over 18, they go out there and they exercise their constitutional rights as US citizens and they vote for their leaders and they elect their officials. That was what happened. You can't sit here, Mr. Soyinka, and try to destroy the outcome of a democratically contested election. Whether it's a US election or any other election, you can't do that. And you take your L's and your W's, your loss and wins. I don't see you. You're not complaining. You're not saying anything now because Tinubu is president. You're not. Because he's your guy. But if somebody else were to win, that's not your guy, I'm sure you'd be all over the place saying this and that. So if you didn't value living in the US, you said you weren't going to live here anymore. You didn't value your green card. Then why did you accept the invitation to come to the same country that you don't value and expect to get in? It doesn't work like that. With all due respect, sir. Most people don't even know who you are. This new generation these days don't know you. But people like me, we know you. We respect you. But where's the leadership? A man of your status should be out there trying to connect the dots. That's what should happen. You should be using these platforms. Now, had you not torn up your credit card, sorry, not your credit card, had you not torn up your green card or compared Donald Trump to Idi Amin back then, because nobody thought he was going to come back and win again. Nobody thought that. Had this invitation gone through, could you not have used that invitation to be able to connect US-Nigeria relations and strengthen that relations? These platforms are available for a reason for you. They are not inviting you to come in because they like your face. They're inviting you to come in because you are a Nobel Prize winner. It's something that you've earned. You had a great, I mean, listen, they revoked your visa. I'm pretty sure your green card has expired. I don't know what the status is with your green card. But you are not a United States citizen. So yes, you're going to need a green card and a visa with a Nigerian passport to be able to enter the US. Put it this way, you are not entering the US anytime soon, Mr. Soyinka. At least not when President Trump is the sitting president. You are not entering. You are done. And that puts you at 95. So 3 years from now, 4 years, put you at 95. Is this how you want to go out? We shouldn't be having these conversations, this type of conversations with someone of Soyinka status. It should be positive. It should be connecting. Trying to bring Nigerians home, like we're doing at America. We're over here driving US Nigeria exports and investments in our own little way. That is what leaders do. They build, they don't divide. So take your leaks. You made your bed, lie on it. But as you continue to go on these platforms talking about blaming the US, calling US Donald Trump, stop it. He's our president, whether we like him or not. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Just like President Bola Tinubu is president of Nigeria. Whether I like him or not, he's my president. I'm talking about Tinubu. Same thing. Whether I like him or not, Donald Trump is my president. I just have to respect. You may not respect the man, but respect the presidency. That is what you should have done in 1996. Yes, I don't like his politics. Listen, name one president out there that has 100% approval. They don't exist. But you can't be going out there in a democratic government with an elected president and you are saying all these things. That is why you are in trouble. And if the US banning you wasn't a big deal, like you are claiming, oh, it's not a big deal, then why are you platforming? If it's not a big deal, why are you going out on every platform that will have you talking about it if it's not a big deal? Obviously, it is. Obviously, you're upset. And it's too late for you now because you can't apologize. So you're just going to have to wait this one out. And maybe the next one, just hope that the next one is not a pro-Trump president. You may never see the US again, Mr. Soyinka. Exercise. Listen, I am a proud Nigerian. And I am also a proud American. There's a sense of patriotism in the US that I don't see anywhere else. And I've traveled the world. How many times have you walked down a Nigerian house and seen Nigerian flags on display? It's not something that you see. It's not something that's common. The United States, there's a sense of patriotism here. Where people are happy to put the US flag. I'm looking at one right now. My neighbor next door has a US flag out in the front of his yard. I'm looking at it right now. I don't have one in front of my house because I don't need to display. I've already served. I serve every single day in one way or another to show how fortunate I am to be in this country. This country that has changed my life. And it doesn't matter who the president is, so long as he's an elected president. I have to respect his presidency, Mr. Soyinka, and so do you. You should too. Yes, you don't like him, but going as far as calling him Idi Amin was too much. Nobody forgets. So it's not really a visa issue. It is a respect issue. Because he's looking at you. I'm talking about Trump. I'm not in his mind, but I can probably tell you what he's thinking. You called him Idi Amin, meaning you don't respect him. You tore up your green card, meaning you don't respect his country. And now you want to come to that same country to make money. No, I'm not in support of it. So maybe you should lie low, Mr. Soyinka, for now. I know you are not going to admit that you went too far. I know that. But continuing to go around talking about is politically motivated, I think that is the wrong narrative. You know that's not true. Whether we like it or not, guys, it is our responsibility to build up the next generation of Nigerians because they're looking up to us. Words mean something. Words are powerful. We got to teach our youths cause and effect. There's a consequences for everything that you do and everything that you see. And at 91, there's not enough time. There's not enough time left for you. So maybe use this last few years, Mr. Soyinka, and let's start bridging the relations between the US and Nigeria. Let's start bridging relations between the US and UK. We can do more. You can do more with your platform and your voice. But this constantly going around and ripping people and tearing people down and telling people that they're illegitimate because you don't like their politics, is not going to help us get any closer. So anyway, that is my perspective on the matter. I don't think he's going to get his green card back. I don't think he's going to get a visa to the US, at least not with Donald Trump as president. So it is what it is. You represented us in the 80s. You continue to represent us a little bit in your own way, even though now it's like your activism. Me, I don't understand them. Some of them don't make sense to me. All right, that's my take. That's my opinion on Wole Soyinka. I really do wish him the best. But at Mberiket, guys, Mberiket Ventures, check us out at mberiket.com. We are a trusted name driving US, Nigeria exports and investments. We speak primarily to Nigerians in the diaspora, investors. If you have any idea, you're interested in entering the Nigerian markets, we can help you at Mberiket Ventures. So reach out to us, visit mberiket.com. To contact me, reach out directly, mberiket.com/contact. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Be sure to like, share, and comment, guys, before I go. And I also want to encourage you guys, kindly look through all our video libraries. Over 600 videos covering exports, investments, and occasionally topics like this. Because the only reason why I'm even talking about this was when I saw that he ripped his US green card. I'm like, oh, I got to talk about this one. Because I served in the US Army. I know people died so I can sit here and speak through this wire. You may not agree with who is sitting in power, but at least respect the seat. Signing off.